Cuba is still reeling from the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Making recovery even more challenging are the long-term U.S. embargo and economic sanctions. As this storm raged, the United Nations General Assembly voted overwhelmingly to condemn the U.S. embargo on Cuba for the 33rd consecutive year. American sanctions have been in place since the 1950s. This slows food, medicine, and telecommunications, all things necessary to recover from a weather event like Melissa. For more on Cuba's recovery efforts today, we are joined by Julio Fonseca. He is the co-chair of the Canadian Network on Cuba. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
It has been a week since Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Cuba. Give us a sense of what it's like on the ground right now.
Well, 1 week after Hurricane Melissa, Cuba is still grappling with widespread devastation. Almost 735,000 people have been put in shelters, facing severe shortages of food, water, electricity, and medical care. Relief efforts are on their way, but hampered by infrastructure damage and logistical challenges. Adding to all of that, the scheme of the economic sanctions imposed by the United States for almost 70 years now, which prevents Cuba from acquiring the resources and supplies it needs to satisfy the needs of these people, let alone the others. But we're talking about those that are in shelters right now.
Mr. Fonseca, Hurricane Melissa, we know, destroyed parts of Jamaica and Haiti. Those two countries suffered fatalities. Cuba was not spared. For people who are facing this aftermath of this storm, how is Cuba faring when you compare it to the other Caribbean communities?
Well, there are two important things that differentiate Cuba from the Caribbean communities. First, Cuba has an internationally recognized system of civil defense, which is very successful and has been praised internationally for the preserving of lives. So while, unfortunately, there have been deaths in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Haiti, etc., Cuba has zero casualties. But there is another important point. Cuba is a poor country like all those Caribbean communities, but they are not submitted to this inhumane and unjust blockade that has been imposed on Cuba, as I said, for more than 6 decades. This blockade prevents Cuba from trading freely and conveniently, as other sovereign countries do. So Jamaica, for example, can go anywhere and buy anything without any restrictions. Cuba can't.
Cuba has relationships, we know, with many other countries, including Canada, China, Mexico, Venezuela. Why do U.S. sanctions still hold so much power over the rebuilding process for you?
Well, first, Venezuela, Mexico are facing problems of their own. They have been very, very sympathetic to Cuba, and they have sent some help. China and Russia are also under a lot of pressure. What happens is that the U.S. is still a world power. It controls all financial transactions all over the world. Even European banks will not do business with Cuba, fearing these millionaire fines that could be applied to them. So United States control all the transactions. Shipping and logistics bottlenecks. U.S. sanctions prohibits ships that dock in Cuba from entering the U.S. in 6 months. This of course, this encourages these ships from docking in Cuba, because after that, for 6 months, they cannot dock in the U.S. The the technology in the world is in the hands of the United States. The United States prevents Cuba from accessing technology. Like, for example, Zoom is not available in Cuba. Cuba is financially isolated because of being on the list of states sponsors of terrorism, which everybody knows, including the US, that that is a lie. It is a politically fabricated pretext to strengthen the economic war that the US government wages on the people of Cuba. So there are all these factors that, regardless of the solidarity of other countries in the world, they are prevented from helping Cuba because of these sanctions.
Mr. Fonseca, I want to thank you for joining us this morning, giving us a sense of what's happening on the ground in Cuba as people there still are in recovery mode from Hurricane Melissa. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.